Alright, good morning everybody. Ezra Senpai here. Welcome back to episode 4 of Coffee with Senpai. I got a special guest with me today. I got my best friend Tim.
Hi everyone.
And boom, there he is. Just template Tim. Okay. Thank you for the follow, Vanguard Ocean. Appreciate it. Can I replay that? Let me. I have the alert box. Yeah, okay, I do. So let's. Boop. Oh, it didn't appear. Weird. Guess I have to fix that. Some call him Tim.
Get that joke.
The Tim, the myth, the Tim. So for this one, we're just gonna keep it chill. Again, this is my best friend Tim. He's been playing Vanguard for how long? 8?
About 8 years, yeah. Started back with the Narukami with Vermilion shortly before the Blood came out, so yeah, about 8 years.
I remember when I first tried to get you into the game. I actually borrowed a friend's Kagura deck. It was a Lawkeeper.
Oh, no.
It was Lawkeeper. And I'm like, Tim, sit down. I came over to your house and I'm like,
I remember this.
okay, I'm going to teach you this game. You're going to love it. You're going to forget everything you knew about Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to love this game. I promise.
Gonna make up for all the sorrow that Yu-Gi-Oh! Left in your heart.
Yeah. Why is the chat box not showing up on here? That's odd. Let me fix the chat box. That's odd. We're doing good. We are doing good. Let me just fix up the chat box because for some reason it doesn't want to appear on screen. That should work. We'll see what happens. We'll lock that into place. So there should be a chat box appearing in the center of the screen, but if not, that's fine. I'll figure it out.
We will make it work.
We'll make it work. If I have to jump to another screen, I will. But hopefully we. Actually, no, that's probably a good idea. Let's see. Let's do this one. And then let's remove the chat box here. And then we'll add Tim. Then we'll bring you down to size.
I needed that height loss surgery.
And then we'll do this. Okay. So I guess the chat's just not doing its thing. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know why the chat's not showing up. Okay, so I first started when G came out. Time Leap was my first deck.
That Timely, that was my second deck, and how I became a Gear Chronicle main for so long.
I suggest Tim get some clothes. It's colder this time of year.
It is indeed. And
as soon as we figure out a thing for Tim, hold on. Do I have like? Oh, I know what I can do. Hold on.
just let the stiff breeze just wake me up, okay? After that, we can do clothes.
I think it's here somewhere. No, that's not it. Oh, there it is.
good. You made me a sensor bar. Do I have to carry it around, or is it just,
it just
straps?
floats. It just floats.
Okay, good.
The sensor bar should stand.
Sensor bar is my small.
Your stand name is FCC. Anyways, see, this is the vibe for Coffee with Senpai.
We got good vibes going,
We
apparently.
got good vibes.
Censoring, and it's cold this time of year.
Absolutely. So, like, originally, like, I think back when, like I started the page and stuff, I tried to get as many people in on it, because I thought, oh, that'd be kind of cool if we made a Facebook page for our favorite units, we can interact as our favorite units. Not quite role play, but like, oh, hey, your favorite clan, okay, cool.
Even in the
And we never got around to for you, and I mean, that's okay. You were busy working and stuff.
I mean, yeah. But even with that, as you're saying, calling it a role play, even if it is a role play, consider it like this: that you're creating a persona.
Yeah.
And that persona it doesn't have to be you, but it is you.
An extension.
Yeah, it's just a representation within a community, which is an excellent concept. I always loved it. I mean, the various...
If I didn't have to go eat, I'd already be making a meme of this. Oh, please do. Please do.
Memes. Please make memes.
Actually, hold on. Let me put this.
We get into some meme shenanigans.
Since the
around
chat
here.
box isn't responding, let me just make the new chat box. I think I can just do that. So let's just.
While
we
Ezel Overlord over here creates a new chat box.
Create.
Just remember, you cannot create without giving something in return.
Where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Oh, no.
Oh, there it is. Oh, no. The existing one. I'll put that here. And then check the properties of it. That should be good. So that should appear on screen. Let me just... There we go. Okay. There we go. It works now. It works. Okay. It's small, but it's there. I actually could change that. So what have been your favorite moments in playing the card game?
Specific moments?
Just the ones that you've had like the most fun. It's like, oh man, like a war story.
Before we go into a war story, I'll mention, speaking just as the Gear Chronicle player, when Gears of Fate came out, for some reason that opening those packs was just so invigorating compared to any other time. And I mean, coming as a former Yu-Gi-Oh player, any other time compared to that, I would say just that was awesome. War stories. Probably the Chara Expo of 2019, playing against Turbo Ezel while playing Green Katrina and just trying to survive. As I'm sitting there starting to sound, oh, I know exactly what's about to happen and it's gonna hurt. Okay, can I survive this? Yes, I think I can survive. Nope, there it goes. And it was I don't want to say intimidating, but intimidating, I guess, is the best I could come up with. But also invigorating. You know, I knew what this player was going to do for the most part, having played against an Ezel deck enough. But to see the execution from someone else and to play it on a bigger scale was just... I got the blood pumping and definitely made me sweat a little bit. about yourself? What would you say in your years of playing?
Honestly, I've had a lot of good moments. Like there's so many countless fights that won or lost. Like they were just so damn good. But I think the most invigorating was Chart Expo 2019, where I was playing the mirror match. I was playing the Turbo Ezel deck, but my final match was the mirror match, and it was so interesting to be like, okay, this is the line of thinking. This is what I need to do. This is probably what they're gonna do. And it was like that weird moment where I'm like, this is what you and I have been telling Pykel about. And we're using Pykel as a name for another friend of ours, Pykel. That, if you know what your opponent's going to do, you can better figure out a strategy to respond to it, or adapt to it, or overcome it. And it was one of those, okay, so you're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to try to get this going so I can get to a point where I can win. And the variation was, they just went right into turbo, like they Ultima turboed, while I did the Wonder Ezel combo and set up a bunch of Excel circles. Then went into an Ultima of my own the following turn, and because I did that, that gave me the advantage.
So one could say that not only the strategy of knowing your own deck, but somebody else's. But in this case, instead of going for the quick win, you played the long game.
Right. Actually, I want to put something on screen real quick.
That definitely does show more of the strategy of this game. Yet again, referring to Pykel as somebody that we've discussed this with, that not every strategy has to be a immediate win strategy. You can play the long game. You can play the idea of wearing your opponent out. And that this game isn't just so one-sided as whoever hits their combos first wins. Which is one thing I absolutely love about the game. It's not hit or scoop.
Okay, so real quick, I want to promote an artist real quick. So Vanguard Ocean last year made me this fan art.
Yes, I remember that. That is amazing.
So the story behind this, we're sidetracking here for a moment, was I drew it myself, and I tried to figure out if other artists could do it, and I didn't have money at the time. I thought, oh, this could be a quick doodle, and until I realized, no, it costs money for their skills because they've spent hours or years mastering their craft, and no, it costs that much because it takes them hours.
And even days sometimes. I mean, some artists are out there content creators.
So I had Ash. I sent it to her. I'm like, hey, just real quick, if you have the chance, can you touch this up a little bit in Photoshop? Just kind of make it look digital. And she's like, yeah, sure, cool. So I've been kind of working with that, and then I've been using it for Christmas, and then here comes Vanguard Ocean, like, oh hey, Merry Christmas.
With some awesome work.
With awesome work, and it's a parody of the Padoru from Fate. And I don't remember which one. The one for one of the PlayStation ones. I don't. There's so many Fates. There's so many Fates. So I wanted to promote just real quick, just because that's my profile picture everywhere. And I'm like, I just want to promote this because good artist, just good, like great, and please do. they have some good art. Like it's really good. It's really good. Okay. Enough fanboying.
Never enough fanboying.
Never enough fanboying. So, but going back to that strategy that Pykel doesn't understand. It's there's more to this game than just set up unbreakable board.
Yes.
Break it, or oh hey, I stop your combo, you can't play.
I think that's something that comes out of other card games. Not to speak too much. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! I have my distaste for, but just speaking as an honest individual about Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Will say that the ideas of indomitable combos and control board where either things happen or and you lose, or it doesn't happen and I lose. And then you come into Vanguard, which has a bit more... It has less variables, but more luck. And that luck can completely change how the game is played. An unbreakable combo could easily be wiped out by some card that was made 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, even 10 years ago, that for some reason comes in and goes, nope, your combo ends here. That's it.
Yeah, the opposite can be true of cards that are created now. Can tear down like the most powerful cards from that
Yes,
era.
I mean there were cards that people were saying should be banned, and they were, or limited. And you know, nowadays there's cards that do what they did only 10 times better. You know, but the meta has changed and the game itself has changed, where combos like that aren't always the best anymore either.
Right. So, what were your... Okay, so we'll jump a little back a bit. What did you think about the first reboot? And I'm calling it the first reboot because technically Overdress is
The
a
official
reboot. It is a like legit, like, this isn't like a rehash reboot. It's
a reboot.
So what do you think of going into V as that first reboot?
Well, I was a fan of the G era, so V was it was saddening in its own way to know that we were stepping out of the realm of, hey, we're gonna have more G cards, more strides, more just all of the stuff that came out of the G era. But I had looked to it as a possible rebirth of the game, possible chance for it to fix certain issues that it had in its mechanics, its approaches. And I was actually hopeful. I mean, you and I went in on a case of Q4,
Set one, yeah.
and I thought that was honestly great. That set seemed good. I was a little disappointed in Nova Grapplers, of course, but I think everybody was.
Everyone was disappointed in Nova Grappler. Where was my Mr. Invincible?
Where was my Mr. Invincible? Yes.
Like honestly, that was just the whole the thought that Mr. Invincible could come back with an cell marker made me want to play Nova Grappler. Yet here I am, I have Victor freaking Beast deities.
Everything but Mr. Invincible.
Everything but Mr. Invincible.
Why? But yeah, I mean, look at that. And unfortunately, there were things that were done incorrectly with V, even from the start. But I was hopeful, and in some ways, I actually still kind of am, to see how they might approach the V Premium content in the future, to either create a more balanced, or for those who, like myself, who love it, just pure degeneracy.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say degeneracy, but just like the sheer insanity that can be caused.
Exactly. I mean, it is nice, as much as I was also just complaining about the effects of other card games with the indomitable concept. It was interesting to see that in Premium with cards, yet again, like Turbo Ezel, Green Katrina, and even others before it. So it's interesting to see whether or not they could do that. Not to see if they could do that, but how they've done that with V Premium, such as Gauntlet. Yeah. You know, we're just gonna destroy everything and eat it. Yeah, I mean.
So how do you feel going into Overdress? I mean, we're in Overdress, but I mean, how do you feel from another player perspective? You know, like, from you, you're like, oh, you know, like, when you got the message from me about, oh, here's what's up, what were you thinking?
I was happy about it, but it's yet again sad, because here we are ending the V era and going into something new again. Okay, this means whole new format, whole new rules, whole new perspective of looking at things. Initially, I was apprehensive. I didn't really like it. I kind of felt like they were cheating us out of a chance to fix mistakes within the game, and that Bushy was just kind of, oh, we're just gonna wipe the board again in an attempt to fix a problem, rather than fix the problem.
Well, I think what problems were they should have been attempted to fix before rebooting?
First of all, game mechanics, just support, the way the support was doled out, the type of support that every clan got. I mean, obviously, you can't make every deck a top of the world winning deck. There's always going to be one that's going to come out supreme. But just some of the lackluster support that certain clans got. Some of the clans did not mesh with their marker. The ones that did, usually came from a later support, so there were certain archetypes that kind of got shafted and thrown to the side because, well, you just don't match up. It would have been nice to see them fix the release schedule, and please stop giving Royal Paladin and Cargirl support. No.
I mean, the release schedule was weird, especially at the end of late V because of COVID.
Oh, well, COVID in itself. I mean, I wouldn't.
But I can understand their attempt to at least try to catch up, and that's why we had a release like every 3 weeks. It seemed like.
Yes.
And I mean, I feel like because of COVID, V really didn't get that opportunity to shine as much as it could have.
To make its final.
Because realistically, we only had like maybe a year and a half of V.
Oh yes, because I went back to work in 2018. We got the case later that year. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course the pandemic. So a year and a half, I would say.
Yeah. So it's like really V only lived like half of its life, like for real.
Yeah. And of course 2020 shut down
everything.
For those who had played it, but the Digimon card game got kind of derailed because of that Scalpers, of course.
Oh yeah.
And of course, and the physical market for card games was hit as well. But yeah, you're right. I mean, V Premium didn't get a chance to end its career with a shining grace.
With a big blowout, like kind of tournament, like the end of G, that last team league. We had the new rules that were put into place, the new Mulligan rule, the new G-Assist rule, the new Striding rule. But we had that going into the final team lead. So it's like, okay, now we have a chance to like really play before we start the new thing. Then we start the new thing, and it's just like, oh, well, okay, all right, this makes sense.
Yeah, well, completely. So, take it back to your question about Overdress. You asked me how I felt. That was my initial feeling, though. My initial feeling was the apprehension of why aren't we fixing versus creating this new one. And as you explained it more to me and explained about the new team coming in and how they were addressing splitting the formats and everything else, I started to see, okay, this is actually a good idea. It gives a chance for the way less oppressive and expensive format that is V Premium, or completely harsh and unforgiving format of Premium. You have something new players can come in. You also have something that's very simple. I can sit down with a new deck and figure it out within a couple of days, versus spending weeks taking apart cards and figuring out what works with this and what does this. And so as I read more into it, I actually started to feel that Overdress was a brilliant idea and actually somewhat well executed.
So what are you liking in Overdress so far? Now that we have Lyrical out, Set 3's not out for us just yet.
Well, having had a chance to play Clarissa, I thought that was rather entertaining.
I figured you'd like it. I figured you would. It's like, you didn't have a chance to play Brawlers back in the day, so Clarissa is the inheritor of the Brawlers.
Yes, and I did have a chance to play some Brawlers, but yes, you're right, to play in its heyday, I didn't really get a chance to do no. So yes, that was just fun. I am liking that. I'm a Verena player, of course, so thank you, Nirvana. But honestly, my favorite thing is how they've already given us kind of our gimmicks, you might say, for each nation. and they're actually making things unique, but without keywords or stuff like that.
Well, I mean, there are keywords still,
but it's not.
But from the Nirvana perspective.
But we're not. What I mean by that is more of we're not looking at it from, say, lock to unite to stuff like that.
Time leap.
Time leap.
Time leap.
Wee into the future. No. So I would say my favorite thing about Overdress currently is things are relatively, I'm not gonna say balanced, but they're.
It's a nice starting point.
They're starting out nice, and every nation actually looks interesting. I've seen Bastion play, and I've seen Hexorb, I've seen Orphist. I love Orphist. Oh my god. Bruce is an interesting one. Baron Magnus is just why. And that's cool. That's cool compared to some of the times with the starting of say V. I remember looking at some clans going, it doesn't catch my eye. I don't see a reason I'd want to play this right now.
Yeah, well, I know how you feel about that. I remember when V started, I told myself, I'm going to try every clan now, because it looks like it's going to be easier to try other clans. And it was, for a while.
Oh boy, were we wrong.
Well, no, I mean...
No, I mean, just compared to how they've done Overdress,
I was looking back on pictures from the page, and I saw the decks I had at the end of G going into Premium, and I'm like, okay, I've got like 10 decks, they're like 3 different Gold Paladin decks, and the Musketeer deck, remember that? You have that now.
Yeah,
I had an Angel Feather deck, I had a bunch of decks, Thabas for sure, and then I look at how many V decks I have, and I'm like, wow, that's exponential. A quarter of it's still Gold Paladin, but still. That's still.
How about them Gold Paladins?
How about them Gold Paladins? But V did give. I think if done correctly and planned out, you could try to play whatever. And that's the one thing I like about Clan Collection or Clan Selection, that type of product where, every clan's getting 7 cards. 3 to 4 new cards, 3 to 4 reprints. There's a gimmick all of them share. Reprints, like unique, universal reprints, unique and universal in the same sentence.
Sometimes cards we didn't receive, promos that we're
still
exclusive.
waiting for Pursuit Assault.
Well, yeah.
But hopefully in set 5.
We finally got Bearlock, so.
Bearlock.
And you're right, I agree with you, because I had the same concept when V started for me. I was like, oh, hey, it's a chance for me to build other clans and to experiment outside of at that point, 3 that I was playing, because I was playing Kagero, Narukami, and Gear Chronicle.
Right.
So it was an opportunity for me to say, oh, okay, maybe I'll build Gold Paladins, and have one of my own, or I'll build Mega Colony or Aquaforce. These decks that I had seen played in G, and wanted to kind of see how they played out in V. So yeah, I think the Clan Collection was a great idea because it does now offer that opportunity to some people. But that secondary market at the end of V.
Yeah, that one's a little tough.
All those people.
I mean, the cool thing about it is like the secondary market's odd, but at least for a while, Premium wasn't popular during V, which is totally understandable. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone was waiting for that nuclear Thanos snap restriction list to hit, which it did. And I'm going back, I was looking up the crit stride fodders for golds, and they're like $2-3 each. But I remember paying like $2 for the playset, and I'm just like,
well, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, of course.
look at people who, when Luard was started becoming popular in V Premium, that the decks were hitting over something like $350 for everything, and that's just at base rarity.
Thanks, man.
And yay! And I mean, those are some outstanding numbers, but it's also understandable. People want something. There's a limited supply. My price goes up.
Basic supply and demand.
Yeah. Hey, for economics.
I can just hear Pykel be like, ban the economy.
Oh, Pykel, please. No more banning. Gonna make me want to go the other direction and just start unbanning stuff. Just don't unban a certain grade 5 that can use stands.
There you go. So with Overdress, we have obviously the over triggers. We have the new grade 1 PGs. Set 2, we have the fronts that have the skills. Set 3, we're getting critical triggers that have a skill. But after it boosts, it goes into soul, gives something 2k. What kind of trigger would you like to see come out of set 4 or 5 in the future? You know, what kind of trigger skill would it be, and what trigger would it be?
Let's see. It would be interesting to see more defensive triggers that maybe could be played from the field. Some form of, you have some of the, say, like the 5k draw triggers that are out there that could be placed, and during your turn, or your opponent's turn, counterblast 1 or soul blast 1, and you get to call it to guard circle, and it gets, say, an extra 10k. So it becomes a 15k shield. It could provide more opportunity for cards that were drawn to still provide that extra shield without having to worry about, oh, hey, well, you just get the 5k from guarding or something like that. Another option would be, if you want, we want to go into it, the one you and I were discussing.
Oh yeah, the under trigger.
Under triggers. You know, the idea that instead of having this offensive trigger that, oh, hey, if you drive check this card, get an additional effect. It would be when you damage check it. Yes, it still gets removed, you get to draw, and you get the 100 million, but then you could provide an additional effect such as end your opponent's turn. You know, immediately, just battle ceases after everything's calculated, and then, so, you know, you drive check, or damage check it, say if you're on a critical.
Yeah.
You know, that's your first check, you finish the second check, and then turn ends.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it, you know, minuses your opponent's front row units by 10,000 apiece, or just something of the sort like that that would give you that a more of a defensive use of over triggers versus offense. I mean, obviously they have a component of defense, but this would be aimed more for you want to damage check it. That would be another one I would say to include.
Would you want draw PGs to come back? As they are in V, would you want them to come back?
So just the standard PG, no?
Yeah, just the standard PG, but it's a draw trigger. Instead of using the grade 1 PG that has the bonus, oh hey, free if you have one or less cards in hand.
Yeah. That's a tough question. I would say yes. It would give you trade-offs. Do you play 3 of one of the other, 2 and 2? Do you go the 4 of? What's more important to you, having a draw that can double as a perfect guard, or having this grade 1 that you, waste a grade 1 slot, but 1 or less cards from hand, you get a free guard, which could be the difference between surviving to the next turn or, dying on the spot. especially against certain decks that might already have a stacked advantage against you.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I would say I'd love to see him come back. I think that they could be an interesting change to the game, especially if they come back just as they are in V Premium, no extra skills, no nothing.
Like they could just copy paste everything.
Yeah, just come up with you can even make them similar cards to the ones that they were from different clans in the nation, and give it a slightly different name, more updated name.
Well, you gotta remember this is 3,000.
That's what I'm saying. It would be like almost like a descendant of these cards. You know, the bearers of the shield. You know, those that have, you know.
I think if we're gonna go on that, I would love to see like the G Guardians, but like another version, like Slimy Flare, for instance.
Yeah.
Be like, oh hey, this is the draw PG for Keter, and it's just a cat with gold armor called just Slay Me Something, and I'm just looking at that. Give me my Slay Me PG.
Yeah, give you. There's your Slay Me PG.
Just in a heartbeat, I would be like, premium. Sorry, Mark. Slay Me PG. Let's go.
Slay Me PG. Woo! I completely agree, because I could say the same thing for, say, Aluru. And I mean, of course, Gear Chronicles is actually kind of funny considering the whole time travel mechanic anyway. But to see, like you said, descendants of these cards, so Slay Me, that would actually be a great way of doing it. It would give you something that could appeal to the old players who, you know, came out of Premium or played Premium through V, but also have this, like we said, you know, new addition into Overdress. And I don't think it would overbalance the game.
Like, I think the caveats would be, like, you mentioned two of them. It's like, okay, well, you play the drop PG, so your deck can be full of other cards, or you play the grade 1 PG, you know, yeah, you're wasting grade 1 slot, but also on the third caveat is if you play the grade 1, you have more freedom with your triggers.
You do. So
you could go, like, you can mix around. I think having that sort of variety in terms of deck building and the deck building process is like
the one thing to consider too with that, on that note though, is in Overdress they made that the rule with the crits, and, you know, well, not just crits, but only 8 of one type of card.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So you're gonna have obviously 4 heals in most decks anyway, unless somebody is deciding to play the Madman route and, you know, lower that. You also have whatever your other zero is going to be, your other trigger. So you have that empty 4-card slot that could be fronts or, you know, draws, and you have to fill it because we have to have 16 triggers, of course. Well, actually, I guess it would be 3 if you're playing your over trigger, but and so that right there, and that's another thought. I mean, if you're playing, say, 8 crits, you would have to sacrifice either a crit or a heal or your over trigger to I'm saying to put 4 of the draw triggers in.
Yeah,
so
you would probably sacrifice the crit.
Yeah, you would have to sacrifice something in your lineup to play those draw trigger PGs. So it would really make you have to think when you're building your deck. In much of ways, the PGs from G that had the extra skills, same concept.
It'd be nice to see those again.
Those would be nice too. Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the fact that one or less cards, it's free. But I think having, like, the one thing from G, like you said, was having PGs that had certain skills, unique skills,
unique to the clan that they
unique
were
to
playing.
the clan, nation, you know, or playstyle. Like, at first they were all counter chargers, which were so damn good. If only they didn't have the call from hand clause, because then, you know, I would still be using the counter charge PG in Premium in a heartbeat if it didn't have the when placed from hand. Because then I can just go Slammy Flare into it and just be like, oh, hey, I countercharge Hunters is already one of my drop.
Look at that.
I would make the room for it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You can see an advantage to something like that. On that same idea, though, how about Quintet Walls?
I think Quintet Wall, it can't. I don't want them to be counter boss one. I think if you're going to be milling 5 cards, I think if you're going to be paying a cost, the fact you're milling 5, like a Soul Blast or something.
Well, generally, a lot of them had secondary clauses as well.
Yeah.
You know, of things that you could do that fit with the build. The one for...
But I would see, like, if they were to go to the route of giving a grade 1 PG a unique ability for each nation, I definitely see something like a Quintet Wall, where, like, it's like, oh, hey, I'm on a perfect guard, but instead of discarding, I mill the top 5. That could be first one KO.
That could be an interesting one.
So instead, like, you can still pay the cost to discard if you want, or the alternate cost is that. Or like in Keter, you'd be like, oh hey, I'll place the PG. I have 2 or more, or 3 or more grade 3s, so it's free. For Dart States, it could be like a number of cards in Soul. Free. Brant Gate. How would you do that?
You could either focus on prison or order cards.
I would probably, it would have to be set orders. Just be like, oh, if you have 1 or more set order, it's free. Or there's a reduced cost or something to it.
One thing that they may have to do if they were going to go this route is release the perfect guards that would be specific to each build. And I mean, this is something that they could do as a special set, you know, introducing these new guardians. You could even call it a guardian set.
Yeah.
And it could introduce new heal triggers with a skill if they wanted to. It could introduce the new perfect guards. We were talking about the reprint. I mean, it would just have to be executed properly. But I could see a set that was designated just for new perfect guards, new stuff like that, just for helping the defensive side of the game. You know, just a cheap, 4-card, 5 cards, per pack set.
Yeah, it could be like a client collection or a festival collection.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see. If anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to post your question. Let's see. So, like, what are your favorite clans?
Oh boy.
Of all the 24 clans, which ones are your favorite?
Well,
and there's no limit to how many you can have as your favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I've played across the board. I've built, numerous in my time. My main focus, of course, Gear Chronicle and Narukami. I gotta stick with my starts. I mean, coming in as Vermilion and Chronofang. So, apart from that, Pale Moon was an interesting one. Pale Moon was one that, having experience playing through Ash, I got to experience how that deck can just run over the top of you. Link Joker, as much as I hated it, it was very interesting to see the different play styles and mechanics that clan could drop on you in a heartbeat. From the lock, delete, even binding cards, I'm not over dominate, so they're never getting my support. No.
Well, it got watered down, and
that's not my point. That no, Dominate hurt me too much. But no, even in that one, I could see such interesting concepts, an interesting way that the deck's played out. Gold Paladin's always been an interesting one. Shadow Paladin.
Well, like your favorites, you know.
These are. I mean, I
or how about your top 5 favorite clans?
Okay, top 5. All right. Gear Chronicle, Narukami. I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it to Kagero. I don't want to, but I have to. Late Joker. And you know what? Neo Nectar. That's one that I started playing at the D&D Premium. That, you know, I mean, I did play Green Katrina, so.
That's right.
But, I mean, I started with Cecilia with that.
Yeah, with that Musketeer deck.
Yeah. Well, I had the Musketeer deck that I got from you, and then I had, you know, when Cecilia came out in V, and I got everything out of that from the clan for that, and so yeah, so I'd have to say Neo Nectar would have to be my 5th.
All right. So you picked out a lot of control and one aggro. Nice.
One aggro, yeah. It makes, you know.
Okay, so I asked Alex and Kel about this in Keter discussion not too long ago. What would you say your top 5 contenders would be for premium format right now? Like if you if you had to think about what would your top 5 picks for best deck be in premium, what would they be?
Well,
and why?
And this isn't even speaking. This isn't even being biased either. Narukami is definitely a top one because of Stunverse. Much as I love Stunverse, I see how overpowered it is. The fact that you can hit not only your opponent's board, but their drop and their hand, and you are going to stack higher every time you do it. That's a scary combination, especially for somebody who plays, say, a deck like Gold Paladin, that just flood the field and hyper aggro feel that the deck has. You're not going to get far when I can just sit there and, okay, as long as I can stride, Stunverse.
Do you need to take that?
No, that's fine.
So you can step out.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
So apart from that,
so Narukami.
Oh, what else could be? I haven't had too much of a chance to look at them. What's been?
Well, there hasn't really been any events.
I know, I'm saying, but to see like what's really being like. Oh. I really couldn't get a safe estimate beyond that. That would be one of my top picks just for now. But
okay, so Naru's.
What would you say? I mean, input here.
So my top 5, in no particular order. Ezel's definitely up there.
Okay.
The speed, just the fact that it can still go into Ultima
Blitz.
It could also go into the GB8.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a side build where you can use the Overtrader. But Dual Paladin in general is definitely one. Then I believe I said Kadro, because Overlord, the Cross is still freaking great.
Yeah. Okay, I can still kind of see
although
that.
it uses the end, not the great. I believe Harry. People are experimenting with Harry.
Really?
Yeah. They're using Harry to, despite all the hits Pale Moon has gotten, Harry has become one of those decks that it only needs it doesn't need to have multiple attack. Oh, it does, but it doesn't. But essentially, Harry makes all the cell circles be centered together to make a stage, and the stage gets bigger with the strides that they have. And they're able to do multi-attack with it, so Harry, Night Rose.
Okay.
Because, like, the only thing that hit Night Rose was Zarzan. But beyond that, the deck was literally untouched. And Grand Blue has so many different things to it where it's just like, yeah, we can still do stuff.
Congratulations, you took out a pinky toe.
Pretty much.
The
And then I think my 5th pick. I don't even remember what my 5th pick was. Oh, Regalia.
Okay.
So Regalia has a lot of good support from G. It also has a lot of good support in V Premium. It also uses the hero guy from Premium Collection 2020 that we thought would work really well with Valkyrion, but it still works with Valkyrion, but it actually works better with Regalia with the way it has to offer. The Minerva Stride just still works very well with that deck. So yeah, so Gold Paladin in general, because like Durdur can still have Percival in Premium.
Yeah.
And they can tech in the Ezel Superior Raid engine for that, so Durdu's still really good. So Gold Paladin in general. The Cross, Harry, Night Rose, and Regalia.
Okay.
Those were my picks.
I would say that's solid. I mean,
although like Darker Regulars is one that it did get the heavy hit with Gastil Diminos being banned finally, but NLK Baron Magnus is definitely something to think about.
And yeah, we had this discussion, I think, and that could be that could be fun.
It's like you don't even need Gastil Diminos to do that deck. You don't. You just be like, make sure you're on NLK and have a Baron Magnus and soul. Build up your soul.
Whee! I mean, so what do you see kind of for the future of Premium? What do you feel is going to be the...
Well, those were my top 5, like, contenders.
No, for
like
contenders. I don't mean for that. I mean, do you foresee what do you see? Well, actually, I'll go this way. Say for our next round of bans, limits, and everything else, what do you foresee them being on that list?
Well, you mentioned Stunverse, and I didn't really think about it until I play tested against you, and I'm just like, F this card. Yeah, it's good, but
I mean, the trade-off being you lose your strides and no triple drive, no 27 or 28,000 attack, but the fact of what I hit and how easily you can diminish your opponent's advantages.
But I mean, beyond that, I don't know if anything else is worth hitting at this time. Pykel will be like, oh, we'll change the ruling back with Valkyrian and Stancher. No.
How about okay, that's actually a good one. If they were to change that rule, what limits do you think they could put in?
Choice restrict Valkyrian and stand triggers. It's like, yeah, no, it can get the drive checks if it restands from a stand trigger, except it can't because it's choice restricted.
That's a good thought. What about limiting the stand at one time for Valkyrian? Giving Valkyrian himself maybe like an errata to his skill that if he hits a stand, he can only be stood once.
I don't think so. I just don't think that's. I think how they went about that particular ruling was good enough.
Of course, we're just talking with the idea of bringing that combo back, but not letting it be the toxicity that it was. Because in that same match against Pykel, I played against him, and playing Gear Chronicle, even header around him. Of course, he's magically ends up getting Valkyrian at the top of his deck. You know, I mean, obviously it didn't get the drive checks, but
it was still pretty.
It's still another massive hit from a rear guard that I've either got to take or, scrap my hand to block.
But in terms of like premium, what can be dealt with, aside from like stun burst, which it depends whether the Narukami deck goes fast enough.
And I mean, as you saw,
because there's some decks that, like, some Narukami builds that just don't go that fast.
No.
It's like, yeah, you can go ahead and get your stun burst off, and it'll go off once. But that's it. So, do you have a better first try to go into, or, how are you going to change your deck construction from that point?
And that is one thing that you definitely have to contend with, because playing stun burst, you have to be very careful about what your opponent's playing, and it also depends on what you're playing. Obviously, if you're playing Vanquisher, you're going to build up advantage pretty quickly because of hitting the hand.
Yo, Frank is here.
Woo!
Frank!
Hi, Frank! So...
I just love these little side tangents. This is great. This is good content. I like this. See, like they tell you, or I'm here for Tim.
Yay! Somebody's here for me.
This is like, people are like, oh, make content you want. And I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing. I don't want to do all the deck profiles unless I really want to. I don't want to talk about card reveals because, everyone else is doing it. Everyone does have their own unique perspective on it, and sure. But at the end of the day, there's only so much that could be said about a card in particular, to the point where it gets regurgitated.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not to say you couldn't even still do those if you wanted to. You could, and it's
so doing like discussion videos like this and Keter discussion, and I do need to film, or I need to record the deck profiles for premium. I really do.
Yes.
I think I'll do that tonight. Although I said that last time, I think I will do that tonight.
Okay, I'll hold you to it.
Yeah, you hold me to it.
But no, just speaking on what you're saying, the thing that I think you like, and this is just based on my perspective as your best friend and having known you for as long as I do, is you want the idea of connecting with other people. You don't want to be the guy bringing the content to people like, oh, here's the card, here's my deck. Yes, you might do that occasionally, especially for cards that maybe really pique your interest, or for a deck that, say, like after a regional event, you might come home and be like, oh, I placed such and such, here's my build, here's what I did, here's what I faced, because I know you've done that in the past. And that's one thing, but you want to be the guy that connects to the player. You want to be able to reach out to these people that follow you, or the people that are watching this or listening to this, and talk with them and get their opinions, get their insight, and share with them and grow. You don't want to be somebody whose following is about everybody watching you, but you also reaching out back to them, which is an amazing concept, and it's actually something you don't see a lot of in
because most of the time people who do this usually turn into a podcast.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, the term podcast is... So podcasts were created for iPods. Mm-hmm. But since iPods aren't a thing anymore, eventually the term podcast will lose its, actual meaning.
That's actually amazing. That's some mind-blowing stuff, man. I never thought about that.
So these discussion videos, it's fun. Like Frank here. Like, Frank is probably just listening to this, at home in his apartment, or at work, or wherever. Hope everything's going good with him. And when this goes up on YouTube later, I know Pike'll gonna watch it, and then he's gonna call me, "Well, you're a salty bitch."
Yes, I am, and it's mostly because you're saltier. Here's a potato.
Here's a potato.
I'm gonna send him a. No. When the opportunity arises, I'm giving Michael a potato.
We'll go to the store before that and just be like,
Here, an entire bag of potatoes. Why? For all that salt that you have within you, you need to get it out. Put it in the potato.
Drink
make
more
a big
water.
Potato. Drink more water.
done correctly, here's vodka. Here you go. Well, yeah, potato vodka.
Yeah, that's what vodka is made out of. I mean, interesting.
Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly. Don't drink it dry, folks. But card games are completely fine while intoxicated. But yeah, I mean, in Pikel's case, his issue is, I'm not gonna, as he was somebody who played the Valkyrian deck, he liked to win. And there's nothing wrong with liking to win, but when you sacrifice the idea of the game
Dexter Big, how you doing?
Woo! When you sacrifice the idea of fun for winning, it kind of makes you salty. Kind of makes you a bad player to play against.
Oh, alright. Currently grinding through the hard story of Zero for more gems for when the G-Era update hits. Also recovering from my first day at UPS. You're correct. BAM!
Congratulations! First day!
Hope they're treating you well.
Yes. Yeah.
Otherwise, you can go to another place and just be like, look, this is what I want. I know there's a general strike going on.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work with you.
I know.
You've got to meet me halfway.
UPS is actually, well, I mean, some places are doing that, some aren't. But yeah, I know UPS from my limited experience of people who've worked with them. They're actually, I mean, they're tough, but they're somewhat fair.
Yeah.
Compared to certain other, places.
I try not to get political on this.
No politics. No politics. No politics. I'm talking about just treatment of
people.
Work of people by certain corporations is not always fair.
The guys were great. The work was the hard part.
Yeah, it's tough work. A good friend of my aunt has worked for them for probably 30 years, 35 years, and started as working in warehouse and went up to driver, went up to other stuff, and it's tough, but once you get through it, just you do what you can.
You do what you can.
Make that money.
Gotta make that bread.
Need that dough.
Icy Thought on Thursdays.
Why couldn't he just be Icy Thought on Thursdays? Whoa! we can speak of it. This takes us to a whole other player. We'll call him Birch.
Ah, I see what you did there. All right.
This guy gets it.
I gets it. But so okay, hold on. Let's see, because I think there is a topic relevant to those kinds of players.
Okay.
So, if you're watching on YouTube, we've been talking about a player named Pikel, whose name is obviously changed because we're not gonna, talk crap about somebody,
using their real name.
And they know for a while that we talked about them, and we decide not to use their real name because we don't want to do that. We're not. I mean, we can be mean, but we're not that mean. We can be civil.
What's the first?
Well, hold on. What was it? What's the saying? I'm mad, but I'm not insane.
Yeah.
Or no, that's not it.
Just because
I'm thinking of the wrong. Okay, I was thinking of the Joker working with Red Skull, and it's like I might
lunatic.
be. I'm an American.
I'm an American.
No, absolutely not what I meant. Gotta make more card money. Absolutely.
Gotta make that card money. Gotta make that video game money.
Gotta make that money for Christmas.
Gotta make that money for Christmas because some of us have obligations to buy other people's stuff. I'm really, really hating those obligations. But make that money, folks. Make that money.
Make the grind.
Yep.
So okay, so there are I'm willing to bet. I think you guys in the comments can maybe relate to this a little bit. But I feel that every local shop or play group has at least one of these kinds of players. And this is a player, I think they're little different like levels to each of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's the like obviously there's like the decent players, you know, the polite players, you know, there's just the normal players.
Yeah. You have the normal players. You have a player that's always very, very good, and he's like the mentor to the group. You know.
But why are you looking at me like that?
No reason.
Wait. No, that makes sense.
But we know somebody even at the local that was like that.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that used to sit down. I mean, I don't know if he still goes. I haven't seen him the last couple times since I've been there, but
Who?
We'll talk about it later. But anyway, just, you know, that player that sits down and is like, okay, we'll play. You know, I'm not going to take it easy on you, but helping with instruction and showing different strategies and offering different insights into the game. That player that, yeah, he goes hard, but, you know, it's fun with him. And you know you're going to lose, but you're sitting there going, yeah, you know, there's excitement here. There's this pumped feeling to want to play this guy because he's sitting down and
the thrill of the fight.
Yeah, it's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of our rival.
But then you get into the I'm gonna call them lower tier players, and I'm not saying lower tier as in like their decks are low tier. No, it's their personality.
Yes.
Where you have the players who kind of take the game a little too seriously from either the card game perspective of it or the anime perspective of it, where they'll say things like, you know, I'll ride my avatar unironically.
Yes.
And it's not even like on Blaster Blade, but it's like, you know, like in their ride deck it's their grade 2.
Yeah.
Or grade 3, or they'll say things like you go 2 to pass, and before they even touch the deck, they're like, I'll break this. Like,
really?
Yeah. And then somehow, through some convenience, they will. And it's like...
They make it seem like they manipulated the cards to their favor. You know, it's, what did I once call it? Heart of the card syndrome.
Yeah. I guess in the Vanguard case, it's the Psycholia.
Yeah.
The Psycholia effect.
Okay, Psycholia effect. There we go. And that's true. I mean, in those cases, that's a maturity based on, you know, connecting with the game.
Yeah. There's not anything wrong with it, but it's also kind of like it's slight cringe. Like
if it's a player having fun though, I'm not saying that he's doing it. I can't stand the ones that when they do it, they're very serious. I ride my avatar.
Yeah.
If you're like, I ride my, and you get into it. Oh man, that's
like if we're gonna weeb out, let's weeb out.
Let's weeb out.
If you're gonna like,
we have gone too far to stop now. Let's just plus ultra and keep on going.
You know? But if you're gonna take the game too seriously, it's just kind of like no. It's a game.
And that's the thing, the seriousness of it. How serious a person takes this game is what can determine whether it's fun or not. Yeah. Somebody that when you sit down, and we won't even go with the weeb aspect. We'll go with somebody that from the moment they sit down, you can tell that they're stiff. They're here to play, and not in the good way. The ones that they almost play angrily, you know, where I'm getting this emotion of, wow, this person does not like me and intends to take it out on me with cards. Oh boy, you know. And yes, I'm sure some people come in and maybe have had a bad day and are here to take their frustrations out on me and by, you know, giving me 6 damage in the first 3 turns. But for others, it's off-putting.
Like there's a guy at our locals. We'll call him Salmon. We'll call him Sam. There we go. Salmon.
Yeah.
Sam and Sam.
Sam and Sam. The fact I understand. Oh.
You get this. And he's just like the guy is. He seems like an okay guy, but it's like when he gets in the plane, it's like he's just a whole other person.
Yeah.
And it's like he'll come prepared to play.
He's a good player,
but he'll rather play with other people's cards for the reason of, well, I want to try a variety, which in itself is okay. But it gets to a point where it's like, look, play with your own cards. You've got your own deck. You've got 2 really good decks. Use them.
Yes. And one thing on that regard, you could say is, because knowing which player this is, he is a great player. He can actually play. He's not one of those people that he just goes with the motions. He actually has a relatively good level of skill with playing the game. And I remember when he first started, and he was serious, and he was one of those ones that fit right into the category of hyper serious and weeb. And as we discussed, that's really just bad.
Let's see here. I do that to people because I want them to use the challenge to inspire critical thinking to make new strategies, but not to be a dick about it.
Yeah, see, that's my point. You're not being mean. You're not coming in with this, I want to, abrasive, you could say, I guess.
Yeah,
abrasive personality. If you're coming in serious and you're coming in to play, that's totally fine. If you're coming in to be a weeb, that's totally fine.
Like I know that, Sam and Sam.
Sam and Sam.
And I told you about this one time. He came up to me. We were playing Overdress, and he's like, "Wow, playing Premium V Premium, you're like a god, but playing Overdress, not as good." And I'm just like, okay. First off, Fishy McSalmonfish guy.
Mr. McFillet.
McFillet.
Or Filet-O-Fish, sorry. Mr. Filet-O-Fish.
Filet-O-Fish. There's a reason for it, and I explained to you like the time that Overdress came out, I was getting married and going on my honeymoon. Obviously, I haven't had that
we
much.
Actually got those trial decks the night before your wedding.
The night before the wedding, we got the trial decks.
This man's bachelor party was 3 guys sitting in a motel room
playing card
seedy
games.
part of San Diego, playing card games, living the dream.
Is it gunshots or fireworks? Yes.
Welcome to California, everybody.
So I'm just kind of like, all right, you know what? You make me not want to play this game,
or at least this format.
And it's like, okay, that they have that negative vibe to it, and it's just like, well, I don't want to.
It also doesn't help when they're playing a deck that, if you can steamroll over the top of yours, and
I mean, I can look past that. Because...
But when they're playing that on top, what I'm saying is when they're doing that on top of the personality. Well, yes, of course I'm not a god in this. If your deck can easily beat mine and I have to play on strategy and hope, well, yeah, let me play the same deck as you and we'll see how things play out. Let me play a deck that counters yours and we'll see how things play out. Well, you have that same personality then and say, well, you're still, you're not a god. Oh, well, no, I'm fallible, I'm human,
I make mistakes.
I
roll with the flow. I flow with the roll.
Exactly, you flow with the roll.
And then you've got people like Birch and Peichel. I love that we're making up names for them.
Yes.
Peichel will know who he is when he watches this.
Birch could probably.
And it's out of love. It's out of love.
It's the idea of saying that. Look, you are a friend, and first of all, the highest form of friendship is
Flattery.
Insult.
Insult.
Highest form of flattery amongst friends is insult. The more you can make the person say "get out."
That's true.
You can make them send you a picture of them pointing at a second-story window. Then you've accomplished, true friendship. But
so Birch and Peichel have this mindset, and it does stem from Yu-Gi-Oh, where they want the win and they want it in the most easiest, most convenient less minimal effort way.
They want
possible.
OTKs.
Yeah.
They want OTK and FTK.
Y'all ever win a game in a tournament? The player you beat just gets super weird about the. Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, go ahead, take it away.
Absolutely.
Take it away, Maestro.
I've had it happen before, but it wasn't like super big. Another buddy of mine, who I don't know if I have a nickname for him.
Is it somebody at the shop?
Yeah. You played against him yesterday.
Okay.
You played Carissa.
Yes.
Against
Okay.
him. So he had this.
Justice.
We'll call him Justice. Okay.
In the name of justice.
In the name of justice. He wasn't playing Dimension Police, but just justice. Fine. We'll call him Justice.
He'll get the name. He'll get it.
Yeah, we've been pretty good. So I remember, Justice. Who is Justice Beav? There. So Justice, love the guy. Just
Great guy.
Honestly, great guy. I
wonderful card fighter.
I'd take a bullet for him. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for him and his like kindness, like, I wouldn't have the stuff I have.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for me to get rid of that stuff because it's like, well, this was given to me. I don't feel right just getting rid of it unless I actually had to. So, like, there are times where, like, he was trying out a deck, and I'm not going hard on him, but I'm going serious because I want a good match.
Yeah.
Whether I win or lose, I want the thrill of the fight.
Yes.
I want that, I'm gonna put everything I can in, and I want to feel that from my opponent.
Yes.
And then, I think they tried to do a particular combo. They were playing Zeal. They were playing Zeal at the time before they traded it to me, and it became Dieliner. And I still have it. I still have the deck. It just, the majority of it got shifted into Dieliner. And they just kind of felt bad. They kind of dropped from the tournament, or they wanted to drop from the tournament. I'm like, dude, no. Well, I can't even get my combo going. I'm like, take it deep. Look, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell a person how to feel. Bad games happen. And that kind of goes to maturity level a little bit. I'm not going to call Justice immature, but I can understand the salt. I can understand the frustration. It's like, look, I want to play this deck. There's a thing that I want to do, and I just can't do it because you're spamming 5 attacks every turn. And it does come down to the deck build and stuff like that. There are other situations that, wasn't grasped.
Yes. I mean, there's obviously times in every game where you have to think of, what is everybody else going to play, and is this going to be able to be viable against that?
Yeah.
Certain combos that may not be able to pop off because what everybody's going to be playing around you is going to either stop it or...
I remember back in the day, kind of we're branching off a little bit, but we're still talking about Pykel. There were games where I witnessed him play, like, it was Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, where he was playing and he lost, and he would threaten to throw his deck in the trash.
Oh, didn't we see this with Birch as well?
Yeah, Birch did this as well.
Really quick interrupting on that one. Speaking of Birch, there's actually a old story with him, and back when we were still in school and playing Yu-Gi-Oh, was right around the time Yu-Bell came out.
This was 2007 to 2000. No, this was 2008.
Can we not discuss the year? Just stop.
Well,
Stop it.
Well, we need context.
They can go look up when Yu-Bell came out. We don't need to go back that far. Let's say we were in high school. No, seriously. I mean, yeah, it was probably 2007, maybe 2006. It couldn't have been later than 2008, obviously, but we graduated that year. But
in 2008.
Yeah, we graduated in 2008. We're old. We get this.
We're not that old.
I've accepted my old, and I'm actually rather happy with it. Thank you very much. This individual player, Birch, played Yubel.
Oh, yeah.
Had the win. And he had beaten me, our other friend who, we'll call Ryko.
Of course.
He had beaten us, other players. You know, the deck wasn't good. It was just good enough that for people who had absolutely no money and were playing on whatever we could get our hands on, it was good enough. And he had us every game we played. Nobody could touch him. Well, one person could, but he was a little better off than the rest of us. In cards wise. But
well, I mean, at that point, I was still playing Neos.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, you know, you interacted with people, and that gave you the advantage of being able to trade up for better cards and get, you know, certain things that we didn't have because we didn't go and do the level of interaction that you did.
Right.
And that was on us, but you know, and keep in mind, this is probably the one of the group that probably had the most money to be able to go out and buy cards. You know, that's playing this deck, this Birch. And he's playing Yubel. And I did a combination that destroyed Yubel. I had no cards in hand, no cards on field, maybe 800 life points. And it's not like he couldn't have summoned Yubel back out. I didn't hit him for any damage. The game was his. He picks up his cards angrily, and they were not sleeved.
Oh, because you're playing, you played Shadow Imprisoning.
Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, yes. And all he had to do was just summon a card with at least 1,000 attack and poke, and game would have ended. Instead, he picks up his cards and leaves. Really? Yeah. I topped your combo, and your response is to get up and storm off and practically destroy your cards in the process? Really? You just sit down.
Now with these kinds of players, these are low tier mindset players.
Yes.
I feel like they want the best for the least.
And they've
got the equivalent of like great value.
Mm-hmm.
Or store brand rather than...
Well, present it like this. What's more important to you, the journey or the destination?
I feel it's the journey.
Exactly. You want to play the game, and no matter how the game ends, you're happy with it. To them, it's the destination. If the destination isn't where they want, winning is what's important. You know, when we have big get-togethers, we spend time with each other, and we're amongst our group of friends, it was never about who could win. We all knew who had money. We all knew who had the opportunity to play the game more, which playing the game more definitely tops having the right cards. The right cards are important, but if you don't know how to make those work and you can't fight against your opponent who spent careful time playing their deck, having the right cards means nothing. But it was always about the win the playing for most of us, To this individual, and to some extent Pykel, you get the feel that it's about winning. It's all it's about. It's about winning and possibly owning your opponent. Not winning by the skin of your teeth, not winning by the luck of the draw, or by, you just barely topped over their combo. The cards just happen to fall in your favor that day. They want to win by domination. They want to walk away from it saying, "Ha, I creamed you." All those times.
Oh my.
Oh my. Yes. Gee.
They beat you. They beat you.
They beat you. But it's not just about beat you. They want to beat you so bad that it's a story they can tell. Because, and this is part of it, I think, in some cases, that's what's happened to them. They've lost spectacularly, so now they must one-up you. They must come back and get, well, you beat me that, one time where, I was still at grade 0. Oh, yeah? Well, you remember that one game that I've won against you where, I managed to stop every combo you did.
Remember that one game I attacked with Valkyrion and got 12 of my stand triggers?
Yeah, jabroni.
On 5 drive checks?
Exactly. See, and that's right there. That's an example of the toxicity within.
Oh, Pikel.
Yeah, Pikel. We love you, Pikel, but no.
No.
Stop it.
So I don't know if you guys in the chat have players like that.
I'm sure.
Or maybe we're just being jerks. You know, that's another perspective too, is that we're just being jerks and talking about bad players.
Well, you could say that, but we're not being. I mean, we are being mean. We are being whatever, but
I think we're being more critical.
the one thing to say is that because Birch is one that's had a falling out in this group.
Let's see here. I love trying to meet the level of players who are better than me each time. Yes.
Exactly.
You surround yourself with better people.
Yeah, and you go into a match, even if you're going up against somebody that you know is better, and you're sitting there going, all right, I'm going to fight with everything I have, and if I get a victory, I've earned that victory. I face somebody that's my better, and even if it's one, even to walk away with one victory from them, you go, wow, I got my one.
That's the moral victory. I mean, yeah, it sucked when I had to learn how to handle bad matchups, Cadre and Narukami Joker for Sanctuary Guard, but I felt like it was important, and if I got frustrated, I just take a break.
Exactly. And if you're somebody who's
I relate to that.
Yeah, I've been there.
I like the reason I don't do a lot of overdress is because I'm so tired of playing against Bear Magnus. And we'll play something else. I'm like, okay, well, I have Bastion. That's built. Now that I have a couple of Lyrical Monasterio decks, I have that too. I have Baron Magnus myself.
Yeah, Bruce.
I have Bruce that still needs to be touched up a little bit.
Yeah, that's just more tinkering with your play style.
But it's also kind of like, there's a vibe.
Yeah. And
it's just like, the vibe isn't there yet. I hope with Flagbird, that vibe is there.
But this happened with V as well. I don't know. I mean, at least for me it did. I can't speak for you or for anyone else because I think that you were relatively good. I didn't vibe with the beginning of V. I mean, not to say I didn't like it, but I remember playing Kagero and kind of getting burned out.
Yeah. I had to, I did that up until Aquaforce.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm going to play Royal Paladin.
Yeah, I'm like, I would walk and I go, okay, I got my Kagero.
Because Paladin,
Paladin. You know.
And then Aquaforce came out, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to buy Glories, or I'm not going to buy Maelstroms, but Naval Gazer looks like a lot of fun. It in Premium is a hell of a lot of fun.
Naval Gazer!
Naval Gazer! And then Golds came out, which, if the delay didn't happen, it would have been Golds, but not much I can do about that. But it's... But I do get that. And so it's okay to take a break.
Yes, of course.
I never liked the excuse of, they were luckier than me in my personal Vanguard games. When I lose, I want to take it as a growing experience and adapt to my ways of playing. Luck is a factor, but there's so much more. There absolutely
100%,
1,000%.
And I'm not saying that if a player wins, it is luck, because sometimes it's pure skill. You've played against players that it seems like they've read your deck, they've read your mind in your deck. They know you, they know their cards, and they top you. They control everything about you without even playing a control deck. And,
I remember I played against Steven. True Champ Steven.
That would be the person I would be speaking of.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's relevant.
No, but I'm saying, but that's who I was talking about, the good player at the shop.
Yeah, the good player at the shop, yeah.
Because he's the one that sat down with me when I was playing and was like, hey, and I'm like, wow, this gets me fired up.
I remember I was playing Golds, and he was playing Angel Feather.
Oh, God,
and it got to the point where, this is like first wave support, Angel Feathers, too. So, and like, he had a manner of doing things to the point where I decked myself out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be fair, the build at the time wasn't as optimized as it is now, because obviously it's first wave support. You can only do so much. I think Golds had their second little bit of support with Ravenhair Dazzle and a few other bits and pieces. But he played in a way where he was able to block all my attacks and managed to deck me out. And I always took that as, okay, that I didn't lose because he got lucky. I lost because of my own mistakes, whether I misplayed or not, and through his own strategies. And there's a bit of mind game in there too.
Yeah.
Just
what I'm saying, I remember playing him with.
I just don't like the stigma of Vanguard being a luck-based game. There's so many awesomely skilled players that that do manage to that do emerge, that get the recognition. Y'all, thank you.
Yeah, yes, there you go. And you're right. The luck is one of those things where sometimes the luck just happens.
Luck is a factor we can't control.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The luck winning is one of those things of like, you drew the wrong cards on your first draw, you mulliganed, you drew the wrong cards again, you had to G assist, your opponent got everything right on that turn. Luck of the draw for some people. Now, it doesn't mean there isn't a skill component, because I've seen players come back from being grade-locked at 1 or
being grade-locked at 0, and then all of a sudden, okay, I'm taking control of this game.
And they come back, and look, it wasn't even luck. It was, they managed through skill to hold on until they got what they needed. But they had to have that skill to hold on. They had to think critically, and they had to apply when to guard, when not to guard, what attack should I take, what should I let hit, how should I,
There's a level of thinking
yes.
that goes beyond the simple gameplay that I feel like the experienced players have have that ability to, I don't want to say guess the future, but like assess the situation, examine the risks, figure out, okay, what should I do if I were to do this, what can I do next turn with what I have available to me, not relying on what I draw into.
Well, yeah, let's take this one as a good just scenario of luck. Let's say you're at, I'll say 3 damage.
Hold on, I'll tell you about luck. Let me just. Now, I've told you this story because this is one of my coolest moments ever, but it's also a win that I feel like I shouldn't have won.
Okay. So
it was 2019 at Char Expo. Okay. Hi Austin, how you doing? You found my Twitch. Austin's I don't want to say a relatively new player, but he kind of is, and absolute sweetheart.
Well, welcome to the game.
Well, look, he was the one that you played against. He was playing Bastion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go. All right.
So 2019 Kara Expo 2, I had the pleasure to play against Solomon Vanguard. Now, okay, I just want to preface this. This isn't a bragging story. This isn't,
I got to do this.
This is something I got to do, and I thought, oh my god, this is such a,
It's a
it's a meaningful experience because it's someone who, is a really awesome person, and just being able to fight them is just, it's an honor. But he is just a person too. You can't go hero worshipping.
Well, yeah, I mean you can, but it's also the idea of just because he's a hero doesn't mean he's not a person.
So we're playing the Ezelmir match because this is for premium. He does an Ultima, and I end up taking the hit. He gets 2 criticals in something else, I don't remember. And the first, so I got I was at 1 because I was like, I need to stay at low damage. So the first damage check was a heal. Doesn't go off, but power to Vanguard. Heal, or a draw. I drew a card, another 10, and then another heal, which does go off. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I got 3 heals in a row, or 3 triggers in a row. And I was able to survive his Ultima attacks. Then afterwards, I think I went into Helios and called out a bunch of other stuff and just attacked. And I won. And, in my mind, I'm like, whoa, I just beat Solomon Vanguard. but it's also one of those stories where I'm like, I can't go out and say it because, you know, I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy.
You want to brag that you beat the legend. You want to, you know, to you it's more of a, I got to face somebody that I look up to as an inspiration within this game.
Yeah.
And I beat him.
Yeah, a fellow, you know, Gold Paladin player, because he was playing Golds at the event. Because it was arguably the best deck.
Yeah. I mean,
it was in the top 30. And it was cool to kind of go against someone like that. Someone to his degree who has this understanding of the game where he could break it down to the point where, you know, when it came to the deck building process that he goes through, it was like...
You wanted to play him for the person, not for the image.
Yes.
You know, for example, it was one of those things that you could say, I played him and I beat him on a technical level, not on a popularity level.
See, I've been playing Vanguard for 10 years and I'm still learning. Like, exactly.
You never stop learning.
Never stop learning. And Helios PTSD.
Helios Kryptos. Yeah. And you face the Helios Kryptos.
Yeah, Gold Paladin's really cool. So, you know, it's like, it's one of those stories that's special to me.
It is.
But as like a content creator, I can't just go around and just baselessly say it. Because I don't want people to think that, like...
You're bragging that you're better.
I'm bragging about... I'm obviously not better than him. I got lucky.
No, it wasn't just luck. It was skill as well as luck. Yes, you got those triggers, and those triggers helped you. But you had to, like you said, you had to keep your damage low. Okay, you took 3 damage. That meant you had to keep yourself below 2 in the hopes that... You know, or 2 below to hope that you didn't get hit for extra damage and lose the game.
Right.
That's the skill part. Yes, you get lucky because your opponent hits the right cards, or you hit the right cards, or your opponent hits the wrong cards, but you hit the right cards. But you also have to know the skill to apply before and after that. Such as, if your Vanguard's protected, but say you need a rear guard, putting the power there. Or is it better to keep that rear guard around by giving it power and leave your Vanguard open because you know that you need that rear guard for your next turn?
Right.
There is a strategy that's involved. Just because you get lucky and get a card doesn't mean that luck is the only thing that wins the game. Luck is just what you got. Now, a pure luck example would be a 6 damage heal.
Yeah.
You know, winging a prayer, you let the attack go through, you 6 damage heal, and you come back from it. But then from there, luck saved you. You still have to win.
Yeah.
You know, now, if it's ultimately and your opponent now just, you know, burn their G-zone, then you have an advantage going in with that. But that's all that is. It could, you know, it could be, say, yet again, Stunverse. I could hit you with Stunverse, and, you know, I burn your field, I burn your hand, I put you to 5 damage, I hit you for the 6th, you come back, and, you know, then you pick up your cards and say you have 2 or 3 cards in hand. You now have to make that work. You have to beat me. Right. You have to beat this hand that I've built up, and you have to build your field. And that's your skill factoring into the luck, and the luck factoring into skill. You know, it's... Saying somebody won by luck is one of those things that pure luck only happens once in a while. But luck is always a factor of the game.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we'll probably end this here real soon. So, I got a few more questions.
So, shoot.
So, if you could go back in time to when you started playing Vanguard, what single bit of advice would you give your younger self?
Just one bit of advice?
One bit of advice.
Fully immerse myself in the game. I would have, I mean, not to say that I didn't play and become involved and do research, but get out, go to locals more often. Make time. I know, especially once I started working, it got hard because I was a graveyard worker.
Adult responsibilities.
Yeah, adult responsibility, but make time. Even if it was once a month, get a Saturday off, and go play. Go to more regionals. I mean, because I don't think I went to my first one until we went, to 2015.
Oh yeah, 2015. Oh yeah, when we were playing out in Pomona.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I would say that would be
keep all your cards.
Yes,
that's
another good one. But I can only give one piece of advice: keep all my cards. Don't give away stuff. Oh, I've got 16 copies of this card. I can spare 4 to this person, 4 to this person. No, keep those cards. You know why? Because down the road you're gonna be looking through your box, going, okay, I had 16 of these. Where did they go?
Oh, right.
Where did they go? Well, that's not just... I mean, I did it all the time. I would have cards...
Damn it, Birch.
Yes. Don't feed toxic players.
Don't feed toxic.
Don't feed toxic players. That would be another,
Yeah.
And I say this more in the friends group with people like Birch and,
Pikel.
by extension, Pikel. Don't feed them. Correct them. Teach them. Help them. But if they can't grasp it, I don't. That would, yeah. That's why I said one piece of advice, we have a problem. What about yourself? What advice would you give?
Let's see here. What would I tell myself?
And we'll even give you two.
Two?
You can give 2 pieces of advice to your younger self.
Oh, wow.
I'll give you 2.
So this is the start of Vanguard. So this is when I started college.
I'm thinking about that time in your life and the things you were going through, as well as how the game was playing at the time. Get your friend Tim into it early.
Because I remember specifically when I started playing. It was February of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already a month into college. It's before I met Brooke, my wife. So I feel cheesy that you gave me 2. Because one advice would be like, hey, you're gonna meet someone named Brooke. She's the one.
Well, this is advice about the game.
Okay, so advice specifically about the game.
Because we're talking about life advice. I have
I would
7 part book that I would give myself. Just a series.
That's a tough one. I would say don't sweat the small stuff. You'll get better in time.
Don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things.
And man, it's difficult to kind of think of advice for myself, because I mean, I think ultimately my Vanguard experience it is different from yours, how you were brought up into it versus how I was.
Well, you also immersed yourself much harder into the game than I did.
Yeah, because Vanguard was an escape from Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, it was a replacement for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, it started as the escape.
Yeah, but it was the replacement ultimately, because you were having the same issues with Yu-Gi-Oh! That I was, which was that the game was killing.
I think if anything, okay. So again, that first bit of advice, don't sweat the small stuff. The second bit of advice, or hold on, 2 bits of advice. So the first one would be, and Ash gave me this advice. Don't stretch yourself out too thin. You got to take care of you before you help others, and that in terms of deck building too. Because I gave Birch a whole bunch of cards.
Yeah,
I sent Pikel a bunch of cards.
Yeah, and that's something that
But Pikel, it's like stuff I can spare that I'm not worried about not getting back. But for Birch, it was like hey, yeah, okay, I think I can spare these. Here you go.
And I remember you were sometimes giving him pretty well off cards. He wasn't getting bulk.
Yeah, he wasn't getting bulk.
There were times that he was getting... You were trading stuff that you had and getting wanted stuff for him. And so he could build combos because, you know, he Birch is not a bad player. Birch is he has what I like to call Morikawa syndrome. If you let him build a deck, yeah,
it's bad. But
it's
when
horrible.
you hand him a deck,
But if you put him a deck and you give him enough time to figure it out, he plays. And so every now and then he also throws a deck together on his own that, you know, you're sitting there going, how does
this
he'll flatten
become
you, yeah.
this?
Yeah, you get flattened and you're just left sitting there going, what happened? What? I blinked and it was over. You know?
Did someone get the license plate of that truck?
That truck that just hit us, you know? And
18.
Okay. Thank you.
The second bit of advice would be to tell myself to go out to Temecula and play out there far earlier than I would have.
Okay.
Now, this is before I was driving, so I would have to find a way to make it work. Ultimately, it did work, but if I had started playing Vanguard more competitively sooner, I mean, I don't know. Maybe things would be... Maybe I would have a world championship. I don't know. Maybe not. But I feel...
You've done relatively well in regionals.
I mean, I'm progressively getting better. And it's, you know, I'm not going to say... And it's going to be a hard time going back up to that because, you know, I don't think I'll be playing online. I want to play physically. So I'm going to skip the Bushy Road Rumble Online 2021. I think I am going to skip the bro format. The bro meta. And wait for physical events to come back. And it's only a matter of time, too.
Yes.
So I feel we'll have a Springfest, or at least we'll have BCS back, and you know, then I can kind of like
hopefully like a Chara Expo 2022.
Yeah. Or even if that, you know, no, that's my best hope. Is Chara Expo 3.
Yeah, Chara Expo 3, Grand Fest 4,
and Grand Fest 4. But, like, going into that, I'm not going to be so hard on myself. Because it's like, you know, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to play the formats I like. And if I don't place as high as I would like, I'm not going to beat myself up. Because, you know, you did your best. You recognize the misplays. You improve on it.
Learn.
You learn. You grow.
Get better.
You get better.
Do better.
Do better.
Get good.
Get good.
The best advice this man ever gave me
do better.
was to point at me across the table at regionals and say, do better. And it seems like it seems like, well, no duh advice, but I actually took it to heart as something that was like, do better. Doesn't mean, you know, go out. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. It's not an insult like some people might take it, but it's taken as like a personal challenge.
No, you're 0-3. Do better.
Do better. You're 0-3 this time. Next time, be 1-2. Then 2-1. Then 3-0. Get better. Do better. Learn. Grow. Make yourself more flexible. Find your weaknesses and...
Actually, hold on. I want to change my answer.
Oh boy.
I want to change my answer. So, still, the first advice, not stretching myself thin.
That's a solid advice.
The second advice is collaborate with more people.
I was actually going to ask to put in for a second with myself to do the same.
Yeah, okay. How about that?
Build a community. I would love to have collaborated with more people and, I mean, not just reaching out and you know, networking online.
Yeah, like in Hammett, I tried my best to get as many people as I could out there to play.
Yes.
And it stuck with a few, but they ultimately fell off, and like I think you and Ash are probably the only ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Raiko too. But...
Right, Raiko's problem is that Raiko spends his money on other stuff, and really doesn't have intentions to put in the effort to play and compete. And I understand. I mean, he's got his own financial responsibilities and other responsibilities. You could say that there's Kebro, you know.
Yeah.
That.
Well, we can call him Kevin. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying Kebro because.
Yeah.
Kevin has his own interest, and possibly his wife Ash as well. That, other Ash for those who don't know, that he might grow into it. There was also another individual, and from what I understand, he's actually wants to learn. Who I had worked with, we'll call him Bartender Bill. Or, for those who might know him, Aaron. He's a Magic player. And he had wanted to learn Vanguard. Well, I kind of wish I had pushed a little bit more to teach him how to play. I tried a couple times, but work schedules and everything, because he went from working the position I did to working another one.
We'll see about arranging that, Frank. We'll see about arranging that. You got a challenger.
Ooh.
Frank wants to fight you.
All right.
We'll have to do that another time, though, because our time's running out.
Definitely.
Because I gotta get ready to start taking you back.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with yeah, boy. Closing statements, I guess. Do you guys have any questions in the chat? And is there anything? Okay. So, what advice would you give a player who's just starting out?
That we haven't already said. I mean, because
already said.
There's so much, or I could even say reiterate.
Okay, hold on. I'll rephrase.
I think I actually could. Yeah, I think I could do this. I think I got a good.
If you could give a player advice about how to improve in the game in all formats, how would you go about it?
Research. Please do research. Look up people like yourself. Look up other players. Look up the top decks. Look at what each card does. Look at your keywords. Learn the game. Just so much immersion is so important. I know for a fight that him and I have planned.
Oh yeah.
And even though it's something that I know because I've played against these cards, I'm going to be playing a deck that I really don't play. And even though I've seen what they do and I know what they do, playing them is a whole different ball game. So even if you have to proxy, I would say learn. Sit down and play decks. Research how things work together. Build things and test them out. Go and talk with people. Find people that you can discuss, such as your content creators, your locals that you can, if you have them, or even people that you could reach out to that would, might be willing to sit down and have discussions about decks and cards and how things work and what might work together, or even theories you have. Decks that could be built. Hey, do you think this combination would work? Well, hey, you know what? I happen to have those cards. Let's take a chance and let's find out. Stuff like that. I would say that would be the most important thing, is talk, research, and communicate. Get like you were saying, build yourself up, build your community, and work with people. If you yourself are starting out and learning, if you can find a local shop, find one. If not, find a community online and just get into it. Don't hold back, and don't ever feel stupid. Don't ever feel stupid for not knowing something or for getting something wrong. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. We all have moments of reading is hard. We all have moments of, wow, I completely misunderstood that.
I misunderstood the assignment.
But somehow got it correct. Just things like that. I would say that's the most important piece of advice that you could ever give to somebody. And the don't feel stupid one is really important, because there are people out there that, they come in thinking, oh, I don't want to look like an idiot. Well, you're new. Everyone looks like an idiot when they're new. But you're not an idiot, you just haven't learned yet. You're a potential, top level player in the making. You are an uncarved stone, ready for somebody to mold you.
All right. We got some nice advice, short, sweet, simple, from Frank. He said, find a deck you love and stay with it. Fun comes first.
Yes. Have fun. Have fun.
This is why I am who I am. And it's so weird too, because it's like, you know, I created this like we were talking about in the very beginning with like this persona, quote unquote. You know, it's an extension of yourself, and it's like, you know, yeah, it's this.
Yeah. I had something similar. I won't go into the details of that, but it wasn't related to Vanguard. It was something else, and it's an extension of yourself. It's not just an avatar or a thing. It could be a mask in its own way, but you're not hiding behind it. The person that is online is just as much the person that's behind the microphone, and it's, you know.
All right, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. All right. Let's see here. Okay. I normally reserve this for category discussion, but this is a special one. So, Tim.
Oh boy. Okay.
I would like you to ask a question, and if there's any answers in the comments, because this is going up on YouTube later tonight, eventually. If I like the next one, I'll feature it.
Yeah.
Right, so a question, just any kind of question Vanguard related that you want to ask the audience, and then we'll end off on that.
Okay. Any question I want to ask the audience?
Yeah. And then they comment their answer, and whichever one I like, or the one that makes sense, or whatever, I'll feature it.
Okay.
Or it's something we'll answer next time, and that will be the jumping off point and kind of the warm up.
Okay. I'll actually use a kind of topic we had discussed and say this. If you could, as I said, it's kind of, if you could bring back something from the previous two formats, from V and from G, into Overdress, a mechanic of some sort that isn't already included in the game for standard, what would it be? This could be Break Ride, this could be
like
limit break, this could be striding, G-guards, any sort of mechanic, one mechanic, what would it be, and how would you adapt it to the format?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to get that one in writing.
And we'll even say that you can't just drop the whatever it is in there. You actually have to formulate it out to fit with Overdress.
Explain your answer.
Okay.
Show us the no. Yeah. Show your process.
Show the process. I got the process completely wrong.
Legion. Okay, we got two saying Legion. Okay.
See, and I love Legion, by the way. I was a big time Crimson fan, and yes, I would love to see Legion come back. It would also make recycling a viable thing again.
I personally, so one thing I would love to see come back, and I think it might in some way in set 4, cross rides.
Okay.
I feel like since all the main 3s are getting a new form, I feel like this is going to be a special kind of cross ride that will, although it's different named, it is still the same character or unit, just a different name. But I feel like it'll activate a
upgrades,
like a Persona ride. It'll be like a Persona ride. It'll be like, oh, okay, this card, when you ride this card on top of Diablos Bruce, it counts as a Persona ride.
Yeah.
And then the cross ride bonus, like, oh, if you have this card in Soul, you get to do
plus,
a thing.
Plus other skills, yeah.
Legion, but you have to discard to pull the single mate from the ride deck. Oh.
I like that.
That's an interesting idea. Alright, we're going to go ahead and end it right there. Thank you guys so much for watching Coffee with Senpai. We went up to 1:30. Wow.
Thank you, everyone, for having me on. Thank you so much.
Next time, for sure. Next time. Hell, if you end up wanting to, like, come to locals and stay over, we can...
Yeah, we'll do it again.
You could be a more regular guest.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out if you're watching this in the future on YouTube, check out the links in the description below. If you want to order your Clan Collection stuff for volumes 1 and 2, or you want to start saving up for set 3 and set 4, you can use promo code Senpai at 50 cards to get yourself a nice discount. If you really want to get yourself a really cool playmat, you can use the same promo code for Zero Damage Gaming and get yourself a really good discount for that.
Get them discounts, trust me.
Get them discounts.
Right.
It is good. It's good. For those in the future on YouTube, check out the links in the description below to all the social medias. And then check out the Patreon, because please. And I always feel weird saying that. It's like, oh, check out the Patreon. I need money.
I need money. I gotta pay for Christmas.
I gotta pay for Christmas.
I don't want to sell my candy again.
Not again. But beyond that, I hope you guys have a good one. Stay humble, stay safe, wear a mask, and please go get vaccinated.
Yes, and this is even as somebody who's very hesitant. Go get the vaccine. Just go get it.
All right, you guys have a great day. Peace.